Now that our bee is shooting lightning, you might be tempted to make it start moving around and maybe blasting off laser beams and doing a bunch of other cool stuff. And while that is what we're going to do, there's something else that we need to do first, and that's make our player character movement a bit smoother. If you look at our character right now, you can see that it's pretty easy to jump and get stuck on a platform, kind of jump up and bounce around. I can even get stuck in between these platforms sometimes. You can get stuck in the water and not be able to jump out. And there's a scenario here. Watch what happens if I just keep jumping. First, I'm not getting a jump animation. And second, notice that my jumps are infinite. So there are a couple things going on with our player character that we're going to adjust. We're going to make it so that our player feels a bit smoother, more like a natural platformer, and then we'll add in the extra functionality for our bee. Because right now, I could fight our bee, I could make him really good at fighting, but our player doesn't handle well, so we can't really test that and get a good feel for it. So let's work on the player first, and then we'll dive into the bee. The first thing that I want to take a look at with our player is our jumping. Let's take a look at our jump right in here. You can see that I've got unlimited infinite jumps, and we're not playing any animation. And there's a very good reason for that. Let's go take a look at our code. We'll start by opening up the player script, and let's look at the part where we see where we're grounded. In our update grounding, we check against a center point. We're doing a raycast downwards. If we hit something, we mark as grounded to true. Then we check the left and do the same, and then the right. If any of those hit, if we have a ray that goes down from our character and touches any collider, then we say that we are grounded. So why is that happening when we're in the air? Let's go take a look at our character again, and now let's go look into add him in scene view though, instead of in the game view. So go to the scene view and we'll double click on our player, zoom out, and you can see that there don't appear to be any colliders here. And if I select my player and go to the rigid body and expand out the info section where I can see the actual things he's contacting or touching, I can see that when he's on the ground, he's just touching the grass mid object there. And when he's jumping, he's not touching anything at all. So there's no collider that's following him or anything like that. So I'm going to add in a line in my code to log out what's happening and tell me a little bit more about it. I've got a couple options. I could log out a line or add a breakpoint. We'll do both. Let's go in here, and when we find something in our update grounding that we've hit, we're just going to log what that object is. So if is grounded is set to true, then we'll just log out the object and a reference to it. And then we'll add in a breakpoint too, just to debug and attach and show both ways to do it. So here we'll say debug.log touching, and then here we're going to give it the object that we're touching. So we'll use a braces, and we'll put hit.collider. This is going to, I'll add the closing braces, and it didn't automatically add the $sign at the beginning like Rider usually does. So I'll go up there, type it, and add a semicolon at the end. So now this is going to tell us what object we're hitting. I also want to be able to just click on the object. So I'll add in the second parameter to our debug.log, which is the context object, or the object that you'll select when you click on it. And we'll use the hit.collider.game object. I'm going to copy this line 153 and paste it down here under 162. So it's 163 and it looks like 173. We'll save with Control S, do a quick build with my Control Shift B, and then we're going to jump back into Unity and see what object is touching our ground, or what object is being found to make us think that we're grounded. If you already know what it is, don't worry, you're ahead of the game. If not though, we're going to show you exactly what it is by popping up this error log, or debug log. It's not actually an error log. All right, here we are. If we go over to our console now playing, you can see I've already got lots of log entries. Touching B trigger, touching B trigger, and touching B trigger. And if I select it, you see that B trigger object appears. I can jump, and then eventually I get a touching ground, but I'm always getting a hit on this B trigger. Let's go look at the B trigger. I'm going to pause. We'll go into scene view, and we'll look at that trigger one more time. Remember, this is the activation area for our bee. So what's happening is our raycast is hitting that trigger and then thinking that it's the ground. So we're going to need to refactor our raycast a little bit and make it a little bit more intelligent so that it's not checking against triggers and other objects that we don't necessarily want it to. We should also probably not have all of this copy and paste here. We've got check center, check left, and check right that are all doing the same thing with just a very minor change, and it's very difficult to see what that change is. You can see it's actually right here, the plus foot offset or minus foot offset and plus foot offset. So get ready, we're going to refactor this, clean it up, and make it a lot easier to understand and fix bugs along the way.